technology for the sake of like genuine betterment and improvement.
That's right. Yeah, I don't know what
we're just like building stuff because we're like, oh, that's a cool thing to build. Like, let's build that. And which there's cool thing. Like, it is cool, right? It's fascinating. Like developing VR. Like, there are cool ramifications for it. But it's like, how much focus should we be putting on developing technology that is like really trying to better us and what we're doing? And there's people obviously doing that. There's that side of it as well, right? But we, I think, get more enamored a lot of the time with like the cooler stuff, like the self-driving cars, like that, exciting things like that, instead of maybe the stuff that's like the cancer treatment or something, right?
Yeah, that's something that I think we're like lost in the vacuum.
Yeah.
Like we don't have any direction here, and America is kind of like directionless. We don't sort of like if you go to Europe, right? Like you could go to the Louvre, right? It's like this amazing, like kind of world history, cultural artifact. What have we done in America? We've kind of tried to erase much of that, and that's something that is, problematic from many different levels. I think the idea that America is a new place is kind of misguided and it's like that's not the right idea. No, this place has been around forever, and it's only really been, culturally, the record, it doesn't begin with the Europeans. It's been around forever. You can go to like ancient sites and see, Hopi dwellings. They're here. We're just not choosing to recognize that, and that's a big, big issue. I think we are sort of choosing to be culturally myopic to what it is we're doing. It's a very kind of nihilistic sort of idea, is that this is, maybe not, nihilism isn't the right way to put it, because I think, we're not, technology, where does it go? What's the end goal? It's
to make more technology, right?
And there's nothing, there's no betterment. The idea of
and at what cost, right? Because I feel like, suicide rates and depression are skyrocketing.
Exactly. So the idea
right?
is, the socialization, that if you were around people on a constant daily basis, that you had to interact with, that would be helpful for many people. I think, that this idea is that, that is a good thing. And I think we've lost that. And I think,
I would agree.
You'd agree?
Yeah, I would absolutely. I see myself doing it a lot of the time. So there's a couple of areas. One, like, part of me loves that idea, but then like the other like part of me is like, I don't want to know anyone in my apartment complex because I don't have to deal with dealing with people coming and going, saying hi. There's a part of me that likes that, but also I think the coinciding area where it needs to mesh is being around two people that you want to be around, right? Because just being around people for the sake of being around people can also be like detrimental and stressful, and like there's certain people like I don't want to see or be around, but there are certain people that I do like to be around and would like to see more, right? But then at the same time, like I moved down here in this area because I wanted to be next to Lux, which is a cool place where I can meet cool people. Like that was the reason I picked this apartment, was because I wanted to live by Lux, right? And that's because I wanted to connect with more people and like get out of my apartment more, and wanted to be within walking distance of it, because I wasn't that far where I was, but I wasn't coming down because I was being lazy and wouldn't get in my car and drive down here and didn't want to go through the effort. But now I go there every day because I'll just like walk down there, and I like that experience. I like that ritual as well, right? And I see people when I'm walking. I like that. I do really like that, and that's something I like about living in this area as well. Is I see people walking around and say hi, even though it's not much. Like that little like, hey, like connecting with someone that's walking and walking their dog is a nice experience, right?
Yeah, the problem I see with that, and which I've started to talk about, is that Lux is a destination, right? And you go to there, you go to Lux, and you think you're kind of. I was talking to a friend about this. and you go there, but it's a self-sorting sort of place. You know, it's not truly about the city. You know, people go to Lux who also want to go to Lux.
Right.
There's people who, and it's a private establishment. It's not really civic. You know, people can get kicked out of Lux, and so the idea is that in a real kind of civic sort of idea of a city, you're not sort of self-sorting yourselves into these very individualistic kind of locations. And that's the only thing we have in Phoenix, though, is private establishments which are, you know, basically self-sorting. You know, like what is the stereotypical Lux person? It's a very, you know, kind of there's something
kind of artsy. Yeah, a lot of students. I mean, you get I think that's one of the places where you get a good mix, honestly, but not a great mix. I say a good mix, but not a great mix. But I get what you're getting at is you want more of those like
you need a random
public spaces where people are going to really like connect from all areas of life that are around in that area.
Exactly, and that is as good of a mix Lux has. It's definitely, you know, a far cry from a real mix. It doesn't come even close to something that has a real cosmopolitan flair.
Right.
It just doesn't.
Right.
It's not. It has no. Right. It has no kind of semblance.
And I guess that's what I was getting at too. Is like that's where I feel that's the only place I can kind of get that right, and that's why I want to go there. But because we need more.
It has no like comparison to like maybe if you rode the subway in New York City every single day, you would see a far greater spectrum of racially, you know, kind of racial, social, economic, you know, differences. You know, in every single day.
Yeah.
And that's what, you know, I think we need. We don't want to look at the same thing every single day. That's why you go to Lux.
Right.
Is because you don't want to look at the same thing.
Right.
But you're getting that. Because you're self-sorting yourself into, you know, and you can look at any of the establishments around town and say the same thing because it's a private run establishment. If you're not forced to like interact with, you know, people in your city, you're that's not happening.
But I guess that's the other half though, right? Is building a city in a way that you're gonna get people to connect. Because that's the other thing though, like in New York as that example in the subway, I've only been on one, so I don't know very well, but as an example, like on the train here, right, the light rail here, you get on that, and
which isn't really a good example.
It's not a good example, but I'm just using that example because that's what I know, right? But people don't really talk to each other, right? Am I wrong? Is that different in New York, maybe? But people more like are still in their zone because that's what we've been preconditioned to do: is go get in your zone, don't really talk to me. How do you get like? And I see that too. I see like trains and light rails is like a great place for a bunch of people to meet each other, and there's a lot of opportunity there that doesn't happen because most people just kind of get in their zone or talk to their friend. When I see it, I think it's so cool. And people are so friendly and so open to actually talking to each other and want that, but they don't because they're kind of scared. They're scared of that interaction. So maybe how do we build a city in a way that promotes connection? I guess it's
going back to the idea of, you know, density.
Yeah.
And sort of providing density. And sort of, you know, the only way that, you know, like a subway is going to thrive is by, you know, having a need for it. And the only way, you know, a subway really kind of is viable is by having, a large, you know, grouping of people together that, you know, makes it efficient. Like, like nobody's going to take, if you're living in Chandler and you're coming down here, why, there's no subway in the world that's going to, like, why would you take a line way from downtown to Chandler to Phoenix? You know, and that's part of the problem that, you know, we have to sort of kind of address culturally and in terms of, you know, how people perceive like living with other people and what are the good things and the bad things about that. And I think, you know, if it's not incentivized or de-incentivized to live in those places, then we're going to face continually these roadblocks and hurdles about how to make a good city a good city. If it's still, like.
So how might you develop a city that makes a conducive culture for that? What are some of the key elements to developing a city like that would make a community that's
so all of the density that's happening. And this is one of the most interesting aspects of this sort of discussion. Is all of the density that's happening in downtown Phoenix right now must happen, and I find it very ironic that all the artists down there, or many of them, are sort of decrying this kind of this development as being sort of gentrification, which in fact, it will, and it must raise the land values of that area. It's the number one thing that has to happen if this is ever going to be, a sustainable, healthy city. Is that people need to live downtown, and they need to work, and they need to sort of create a high quality environment. If it's going to be, if that density doesn't happen, it'll be a shithole, and it'll be like low rents, and and people can do whatever they want down there, but it's not a good functioning city, and that's the biggest thing that people that's again a normative cultural issue that has to be addressed, and those things need to be sort of addressed in the sort of in a way that's going to really look at creating a viable city. So the idea of gentrification and density and people being displaced, it's a natural thing, and it's been happening for thousands of years, right? Yeah. So we need to sort of again look from take off the artist hat and look at it from what does how is this really going to thrive as a city? So, I think the controversy is again misguided, right? So a lot of that discussion should be kind of moved into this sort of into the sphere of how can we make this work for artists, and where can we kind of make this development that's happening better, and how can we help shape it and make it work for us, this sort of insular community, right? We shouldn't be saying, that's going to completely displace us. They should say, we need to be a part of this, and we need to be helping this move forward.
Absolutely.
And that discussion is not happening.
It's scary. That's the thing.
That's what's scary.
They could easily do it, and they could easily do it just by being like, hey, we're going to hold a forum. We want to talk to all the artists and be like, let us know what you want, what you'd like to see. We want to hear from you. And that could do that. Just that simple doing that once could go probably a really. The
developers would love it.
Yeah.
They would say, we're not going to face these combative, community people, which is what they are. The artists didn't create that area, Roosevelt area. I mean,
they just lived there.
They just lived there by
the past, by
default.
That shit there, and they were like this.
So that's kind of like a slap in the face to the people that created their homes before the artists went in there. I mean, it was just low rent before they went in there. I mean, it's just, and that's this sort of continual evolution of cities that needs to be kind of addressed and looked at, and how to sort of that is if it never happens. Listen, if that never happens, then Phoenix will be like a wasteland. It will be like a dead city, which
if what never happens exactly.
If the density never happens in downtown, and land values never increase down there,
right?
Phoenix will be, just write it off. It'll be like a weird another Detroit. I mean, cities go up and down.
Of course,
there's no sort of
city that lasts.
There's no guarantee that this city is going to continually improve.
Right.
And if it doesn't, get its act together and put density and put things that are going to sort of invest in infrastructure. What does that mean? Yeah. It means infrastructure for density. And if it's not viable economically to invest in infrastructure because there is no density, if this downtown urban core is basically suburban, low density, there's nobody who's going to put money into it.
And it's not going to attract, too.
It's not going to attract anything.
It's not going to attract a lot of interesting, cool people that could, if you're an artist and you're like, I'm going to fight through, I'm going to find a way to live down here, that's what should blow up your career too, right?
Exactly.
There's other ways. You got to look at it from different angles. A lot of people have trouble shifting perspective, I think, as well. Which, I'm not saying that both people need to look at it, right? Both people need to look at it from different sides of points of view of like, hey, this could help, this could benefit me in another way. But again, I'm not saying like the developers shouldn't take a look and be like, all right, how can we make sure these artists don't get displaced? And
I think, nobody really, I mean, if we look at it, in terms of, maybe idealized